And joining me now with more on the surge in new restrictive voting laws across the country is Arizona's Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs, a strong critic of her own state's Republican-led election law restrictions. She's also a Democratic candidate for governor. Well, Madam Secretary, very good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. There's already been movement in your state on this, as you know, better than anyone, with attempts to purge who state Republicans are calling infrequent mail voters. How much worse are you seeing it right there in Arizona? And as dozens of other states are following your lead, your state's lead, I should say.
Yeah, restrictive voter laws are not new in Arizona, but what we're seeing that's new this year is everything is tied to the 2020 election, the big lie from the 2020 election, and this audit this so-called audit that's being conducted. And it's being led by people who are mad about the election result, and they don't like who showed up to vote, and so they want to make it harder for those folks to vote in the future.
And one of the things that is striking to me is that these changes in the election law are not just making it harder for people to vote, restricting access. They're also nullification by changing the way votes are counted and who gets to count the votes if they don't like the results, really eliminating many of the local officials.
Right. We're definitely seeing an overreach, removing power from election officials, changing, who is responsible for seating electors. We saw a bill proposed here that would allow the legislature to overturn the electors. The sponsor of that bill is now running for Secretary of State, as is the author of other restrictive voting bills that have been passed into law. So this is really concerning trend that we're seeing across the country of folks who don't like the outcome, and so they're trying to put their thumb on the scale of the process.
And what is the outcome on this so-called audit? Some people are more correctly calling it a fraudit. Is that going to be finished this week? And does that then, get taken seriously by the Republicans in charge?
Well, we have heard that it is supposed to be wrapping up this week and that they plan to issue a report several weeks down the road. But what we have been focused on throughout this process is the lack of procedures and consistency with the way anything's being carried out, the lack of security, the lack of transparency, all things that you would see in a valid post-election audit. So this is the furthest thing you can get from an audit. And we really have no confidence that the result is going to be a valid result or an accurate reflection of the will of the voters in this last election, that the results we certified were. So we're definitely concerned about what they're going to come out with and what the Republican leadership will do with that result, which we know is not going to be a valid result.
Arizona Secretary of State Katie Hobbs, thank you so much.